started, and by the time Pedro's presentation comes around, I think folks will be in here. So just want to welcome you all to the March First Friday Forum. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Jonathan Russell with Hourglass, and it's my pleasure to be here today with Pedro Rivera, the president of Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology. Thanks for being here, Pedro.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be here, to be home. Excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to have you working in Lancaster County. So want to thank our sponsors, Rogers & Associates. They've been a longtime sponsor of these First Friday Forum series and really appreciate their support. We also thank the Ware Center in Millersville University, where we have held these forums traditionally. If it were not for COVID, that's where we'd be right now. So we thank them for their space and their generosity as well. A little bit about today's forum and the format. Pedro has prepared a presentation for us on the wonderful new initiatives and exciting things happening at Stevens. So we want to give him as much time to get to his presentation as possible. So we'll wait for questions until the end. We ask that you use the question and answer function at the bottom of your screen and submit a question in there. See what other folks have submitted. If you like somebody else's question, you can give them a thumbs up. And the ones at the top of the list we'll get to first at the end of Pedro's presentation. So without further ado, I will let Pedro take it over.
Jonathan, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining me this afternoon. It's one, great to be home. Secondly, just being here and having an opportunity to share and engage with everyone. So what I'm going to do is just take a quick moment to share my screen here and actually going to look to share I believe my second screen, only because I want to like to have a better presentation of what you're going to see today. However, again, as Jonathan shared earlier, wish we had an opportunity to engage in person and to see all of you. I do miss having engaging and getting to see the big Hourglass flip over, just knowing how much time I have left to share through this presentation. So specifically, it's a pleasure to be here and start to engage in conversation with all of you around my new role that I started in October 1st, serving as the leader of Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology. And it's been an amazing experience and opportunity to be here, specifically as I look to share. I'm going to stay on this view, specifically as I look to share what our future looks like, and really just sharing with you what it is we do to engage opportunities for the next generation student, next generation workforce here in Lancaster and throughout Pennsylvania. This is a slide that, although digs a little deeper, might even be a little wordy, I thought would be extremely important to share, and just to really engage with all of you. And this is, as we look at what our mission is, why we exist, why we were created, identified by our benefactor, Thaddeus Stevens, to specifically understand that education is a pathway to prosperity, and that we know here at the college, every day we demonstrate the opportunity to graduate students that will enter the workforce. Earn a livable wage, not just for themselves, but as an opportunity to create a value add for their communities and communities as a whole throughout Pennsylvania. So we are committed to that legacy and understanding that this is a great institution, but it's only great because we work and we strive to change the lives of our students, those who graduate, the communities they live in, and business and industry throughout the Commonwealth. So, in what I just shared, I was able to, to give a specific, rendering of what our mission is. So I won't spend too much time here for the sake of time. But I do want to take a moment to, really engage with you in discussion who our students are and the different types of opportunities we have to engage to engage students across Pennsylvania here on Stevens campus. First, we start with students as early as high school by offering dual enrollment high school opportunities. We focus and really provide many great experiences for first generation college students as you engage with, not only our students, but many members of our faculty. They represent, a growing population of first gen college graduates. We also look specifically at the workforce. If an occupation, if a pathway does not directly align to a family sustaining wage, it's not an area that's of interest to us. We also pride ourselves as students graduate and complete our programs. Because of our low tuition, they have minimal to no student loan debt. And some stats that we thought would absolutely be of interest to all of you is 40% or more of our students own their own home within 5 years, and also purchased a car within 1 year. And in addition to the great experience traditionally, we also do have an extremely robust focus on non-traditional students. When you travel our campus and you meet our students, you'll see a large number of career changers, as well as those individuals who come back who need to engage and sharpen their skills for continued employment or for their current area of employment. But one of the areas that you may not fully know of us, when you look at specifically our 2-year degree program and know that our students enter the workforce, we also are a significant value proposition to other 4-year institutions because of a robust set of articulation agreements. Students can start here at Stevens, finish their 2 years, and then transfer to other 4-year institutions. So when you think about and you take into account our value proposition in terms of how we provide students the opportunity to go with minimal to no student debt, they can then transition and transfer those credits to 4-year institutions and with a continuation having a lower debt load. So we impact high schools, we impact the workforce, we impact the community through our 2-year programs, but also have a value proposition for other 4-year institutions throughout the Commonwealth as well. And here's who we are. For us here at Stevens College, our average student age as of fall of 2020 is 20.6. So a little over 20 years old. And because that's an average, you take into account that not only new college students, recent high school graduates, but also that non-traditional population of adults coming into our program. Our racial breakdown, when you look at who we are, we're a fairly diverse institution and continue to work to aggressively improve and maintain that diversity amongst institutions, amongst our institution, but not only in terms of race. When you look at our students and where they come from, 44% of our students were from Lancaster County, but also had a significant representation from other counties as well: Chester, Berks, York, Lebanon, and students that come from the Philadelphia area as well. A little over 11% of our students are female, and 44% of our students are Stevens Grant or Pell eligible. And you'll learn a little more about Stevens Grant later through this presentation. When we look specifically at recruiting or retaining students to fulfill our mission, we know that K-12 or K-16 initiatives are extremely important to us. We can't just start as early as when students are looking to engage in their college exploration experience, but because of who we serve and our value proposition, we start as early as kindergarten to start to spark interest in STEM, in computer science, and those technical skill opportunities. If you know me, you've heard me share stories about my own daughter when she was in kindergarten in the school district of Lancaster, coming home with her hard hat, goggles, her Thaddeus Stevens ID, already knowing that there were career pathways when she went through her K-12 experience, and knowing that, being a builder, or, or looking at, the technical skills was an area that she could consider as she grew through her K-12 experience. But then we also are extremely targeted when we look at dual enrollment in high school. And I'll pause here, or I'll go slower, because I think this is a great area to focus on the value proposition of Stevens College, and what we do in relation to our partners in this K-12 sector. When you look specifically at the school district of Lancaster, York, Chester, or Bucks County, we have some pretty robust partnerships and programming. One of which is the college and the high school program. So students can take courses at their high school through their high school teacher and earn college credits, because through this articulation, their courses align to the curriculum of Stevens. And through that, they're able to not only earn credits, but do so at an extremely discounted rate of just $100 for those courses. Or they can choose to participate in dual enrollment. And that's where students in high schools come to campus and attend classes here on Thaddeus Stevens campus. And that is also at an extremely discounted rate at $100 per credit. Or a student can participate in our early enrollment program. So students can spend their entire senior year with us and earn collegiate credits, while at the same time, high school credits towards graduation. That is made available to them at a 50% tuition, or $2,100 a semester. So imagine completing your senior year of high school, and at the same time semesters of college, your collegiate credits. And because we are a state institution, Middle States accredited, those college credits are not only Thaddeus Stevens credits, these are collegiate credits that students can use to advance their college experience and bring down college cost well after graduating from high school. And they can do that again at $2,100 a semester. Now, knowing that not every student is going to be prepared to enter their career pathway when they graduate from high school and enter our college, we do offer a pre-major program. So this is a year where we put pretty explicit supports for students in place to engage in career exploration, complete their general education requirements, and allow them time and resources to better prepare themselves to enter their major of choice. We also do offer a robust system of housing and meals for students who, not only through the traditional school year, where we do have a housing program, but also if students are experiencing unsafe conditions, or are in fear of insecure housing insecurity, or food insecurity, we do offer students that experience and the opportunity to stay here on campus year round as needed, and we'll continue to support and counsel them accordingly. Now, one of the things, one of the areas that I absolutely believe, kind of allows us to stand out than many of your traditional institutions of higher ed is our robust retention program. We have in place a full team that engages in not only providing systems of support and tutoring and coaching, but we put a system that really engages in an early alert system that tracks students along with their faculty member and even coaches, athletic coaches, and those other individuals to identify students who might be struggling early on in their college career, to put a system of support in place, whether it's traditional academic or even relational or social emotional supports to ensure students are completing their coursework, are giving the resources needed to complete that coursework, and are on a trajectory to graduation as they move forward. This is going to be really important as I kind of get into some of our later slides, because that has absolutely been challenged, but also has shown as a value add in recent months and even throughout the year. And as I align that, a lot of that falls within what we call our Act 101 or Educational Opportunities Center. So in the fall of 2020, we had 362 total Act 101 or Educational Opportunities Center students. Of those students, 269 of them were Stevens Grant. And just for a point of clarification, if you're a Stevens Grant student, it means you qualify, you're Pell eligible, and your need qualifies you for practically free tuition here, and I'll get into that a little while later. But of those, of those 200, of those 362, 53 of those were pre-major. So we start the systems of support even as early as those students who are looking to identify and what they want to do, what they want to major in, and receive those those career services, and really looking at that robust system. Even 9 of our students in that area were foster care students. As part of that full team, we provide and engage students through athletic programs, through coaching, recruitment, focus on retention, and counseling. So it's an extremely robust portfolio of student retention. So, transitioning to our programs, first and foremost, each and every one of our programs are aligned to industry needs and industry standards. We have a 2-year Associates of Applied Science degree, in which we house 24 programs. We also offer and provide short-term certificate programs. So not every program here at the college is specifically a 2-year associate. Some of those programs, some students may go through programs, both traditional and non-traditional, that will lead to a certificate. But we also work with community partners, SACA being one of our biggest partners to work on, as well as the Workforce Investment Board, to provide workforce development opportunities and also skill up programs. So, our focus on providing opportunities through education for individuals to earn a family sustaining wage and to and to be productive in that space is not only isolated or not only specific to the 2-year traditional, but we also focus on providing opportunities for non-traditional students, and that's through skill up, through workforce, and through those certificate programs. Now, what's important to know about us, and I mentioned a few times earlier, but I want to significantly focus on this area. It's in order to be a Stevens program, you have to support business and industry needs. You have to be a high demand, high interest concentration, and again, you have to be a certificate or a program that lives to a family sustaining wage. We do make decisions often around whether or not we're going to keep a program, create a new program, whether or not there's a time, a place, and a space for a program at Stevens. And if you can't meet those core values, we have made decisions to no longer offer that course of study. We are a full-time college. We offer day and evening classes. We're getting much more into those non-traditionals of non-traditional hours of college. And so we have some programs that are offered after hours for students who may need much more flexible schedule. Our faculty is experienced in their areas of study. So when you look specifically at our programs, you're going to be in front of a faculty member who has had experience in industry, who can share with you the practical application as well as the pedagogical explanation of all of our coursework. Now, when students come to Stevens, they participate in what we call a block schedule. So, this allows us to maximize instructional time, realizing that we're extremely hands-on. A choppiness in curriculum could sometimes, lead to slide throughout one transition of coursework to the other. So what we try to do with our students is maximize that time on task so that they can, build that skill through continuous learning and repetitive muscle memory in terms of instruction and modalities of instruction. And because of what we offer and how our instructors work with students, we have extremely low class size. Our average course is around 25 students per cohort. and really pride ourselves with allowing students the greatest opportunities to engage in hands-on and technical experiences. Now, professors and faculty and staff aren't the only individuals that have an opportunity to engage with us, through instruction and modalities of instruction. We have representation through our industry advisory councils from business and industry, to provide us feedback and related to how to update and advise our curriculum, how to shift and adjust our courses and our coursework, and even what new courses and what new programs should be developed. And what's even much more important now is that we can't be stagnant in terms of the growth of our programs. We have to take new technologies, new equipment, and the future of the workforce into account as we update our programs. So here's our value. I mean, early and often I discussed the value proposition of Stephens College, and first and foremost, we are extremely affordable. When you look at this year, tuition for us was $8,400 a year. I'll pause there because anyone who has college age kids or kids are about to be of college age or even just graduated, the significant cost of college. So just looking at what our cost per year is, you're absolutely not going to suffer the sticker shock you do often now when investigating college. We offer on-campus housing as well for $5,000 a year, and we offer a 7-day a week meal plan, which is just $4,670 for students a year. We also pride ourselves that the median student loan debt for us is $9,661. So the class of 2019 had an average student loan debt of under $10,000. So graduating from a program, earning a family sustaining wage, which I shared earlier, having a significant job placement rate and only having a debt of under $10,000 is absolutely a value proposition the college is proud of, and one that that we celebrate often. I shared with you earlier our Stephens Grant. Stephens Grant is absolutely an opportunity for us to ensure we're removing the financial barriers to higher education. 44% of our students qualified for this grant in the 2020-2021 academic year. This is pretty much just based on FAFSA, the same paperwork, the same application students will fill out to go to any other higher ed institution. So pretty much if you're a Pell Grant eligible student, you are a Stephens Grant eligible student. So students who qualify for Pell can come to Stephens practically for free. And our Stephens Grant can cover completely or with a significantly reduced rate tuition, room, meal plan, textbooks, and even the tools they use in class, and then take home with them after they've completed their programs. So we really provide a robust system of support for any student who is in financial need. Here are our placement rates. So, value proposition, I took a moment to share that, but overall, our class of 2019, 96.2% of students were placed into jobs upon engaging in the class. I was about to say upon completion, but that's not always the case. But 96% of our students, period, are placed, and 90% of those students are placed in the field that they intended. And when we think about the Commonwealth, what's the value add to the Commonwealth? 97% of our students stay in Pennsylvania. And that's based on the data we collected in 17, 18, and 2019. In terms of recruitment, we just had a very successful job fair. Over almost 1,500 companies were looking to fill over 5,000 jobs for our 391 graduates. So if you think of the value proposition, the job proposition, that's pretty much 13.1 jobs for each one of our grads. And the median base starting salary for those individuals, for our students, was $42,500 a year, or $20.43 an hour. And that's just when you think about that's the starting base salary. What we've also learned and tracked, and what we hear back from, especially students who are looking to hustle and get in those hours, our graduates can also work an average of 10 hours of overtime a week, adding practically $15,000 to their annual income. And when you think of a need, not only to the workforce, but also to our students, families, and our communities, we had 2,374 applications for the fall of 2020, and for only 809 openings in our freshman class. So students are interested. There is absolutely an interest throughout the Commonwealth and in our communities, and it's something that we're really proud of and looking to build around. Our fall 2020 enrollment was a little over 1,200 students, was down from 100 from the fall of 2019, much like many of our colleagues due to COVID-19 withdrawals and deferrals. It's extremely difficult for families as they engage in this space, especially when you're consolidating so much instruction and modalities of instruction over the course of 2 years. But we don't only focus ourselves on traditional students or those that might be financially in need or at risk. We also provide a robust system of support and opportunities for students with disabilities. And when you look at it, our numbers in 2019, 377 of our students who came through those programs and were placed in employment and were provided those opportunities to change their life trajectory were identified as students with disabilities. And even as we look at progressing from our freshman year to our sophomore year, those numbers are high on the post-secondary spectrum. 72.4% of our students progress from year one to year two, or from pre-major to year one to year two. But at the same time, we realize when you look at that job placement rate, it's not, they're not just dropping out without opportunities. Many of those students do not progress from grade to grade, or even graduate. When you look at our graduation rates right there at 64.3, because they find employment before they transition to the next modality or the next opportunity for instruction, or before they graduate and find employment within that full list of value proposition that I mentioned earlier in the slide. So, not only do we notice and celebrate the successes that we've had, I mean, we've been very fortunate as an institution, to be highlighted and celebrated, throughout the state, but also, nationally. Forbes in 2018 identified as the 9th best 2-year trade school in the country for career technical and career colleges. The Aspen Institute has identified us as the top 15% of 2-year public colleges in America. We've been awarded that every 2 years and received recognition 6 out of 6 times that they've collected, and we've submitted this information. We received the Excellence in Equity and Community Colleges STEM Award by the Aspen Institute, College of Excellence Programs, and the Siemens Foundation. This was specifically geared because of how diverse and the value proposition around providing opportunities for diverse student backgrounds and just really focusing on equity, and diversity and inclusion. And then also when you think of Middle States Commission of Higher Education, we are a 2-year college that is Middle States accredited, which means we adhere to one of the highest standards of accreditation as an educational institution, and our credits are aligned to other institutions and are highly and easily transferable. And when you think about that, our performance, we've met 29 benchmarks in IPEDS, and that's how we address the benchmarking for those standards across the state and in our industry model. And so, we meet those benchmarks, which show high quality and high value proposition of our programs and for our students. And for Niche, it's a great, distinction in 2021, the #1 best community college in Pennsylvania through that distinction. So, and I'm going to try to run a little, quickly because I get excited and spend a little more time on each slide than I should. But we are investing not only in our college, not only in our communities, but the next generation workforce. So here's kind of what you'll see going on around campus. We've been renovating and upgrading to to update an aging infrastructure throughout our main campus. We've been constructing new facilities to keep up, one, to ensure that they're, maximum, they show maximum efficiency, but also provide students the college experience through Res Life or quality, food and feeding and just the areas that they can congregate, during those non-instructional times and have a healthy lifestyle while on campus. We, continuously, by working with our industry partners, our community partners, by working with other professionals, across the U.S., update and upgrade our curriculum to ensure they align to a rapidly evolving technology. And, one great example of that is, is our new transportation center. And to learn more, please log on to thetransportationcenter.com. And you'll learn about, this new endeavor where we're going to be expanding an opportunity in partnership with HI has been great partners and other community partners, to increase our individuals who are meeting the demand for technicians in collision, technicians in automotive technologies, and diesel technology, which will be a new program for us. This center is a state-of-the-art center that's going to provide students the opportunity to learn on industry qualified, industry aligned equipment by a group of professionals that that are going to ensure their success through the programs and beyond. We're also looking to renovate a number of our existing programs to meet the evolution of business and industry. We know that if as an institution we want to remain, number one and remain, a value add to the community, how our students learn, the modalities of instruction, and what they use to learn and what they're working on has to align to business and industry standards. And that's, one of the things that you will see on our campus. We're working to update, to renovate, and to stay, significantly aligned to all of you out there in the community and through business and industry. And that's also important because as we, our mission to address the barriers for non-traditional students, is extremely important. Some students that come to our college have never experienced, working with the tools and through the programs that they'll use in industry. So this could be the first time, we're exposing them to these opportunities. We're also partnering with community-based organizations. We're partnering, with city and county and state leadership to look at, ensuring our value proposition to other non-traditional students. You're going to hear in the near future about a Parent Pathways program that we've been, that we're in the process of delivering, offering temporary housing for single parents to complete studies and to engage, and even for students after graduation so that they can transition to workforce without the burden or without the stress of not knowing what they're going to do during transition. And one of our more recent points of pride, working with the Commonwealth to acquire and develop new property. We are now in the process of purchasing the Alms House at Conestoga View, that area of land to expand the college's footprint and to provide additional housing for students so that we can expand offering for kids to live on site, to live on campus. Now here are opportunities and partnerships for growth. I shared with you earlier, gave you a quick overview. Here's one of the renderings for the transportation center. You can learn more about this on the transportation center online. Here's just a quick overview. Located at Greenfield Industrial Park. This was driven by the growing demand by industry. This full curriculum was developed by our industry advisory committees, representatives from business, from industry, all across the Commonwealth, facilitated by our faculty members. There are lots of opportunities within this transportation center, for partnerships, both on industry advisory, both to inform curriculum, to engage as a partner. But I wouldn't be a good college president if I didn't tell you that there are also a good number of blank walls, where you can imagine and envision your name being on that wall for a nice sponsorship, to participate in sponsoring the transportation center, labs, and rooms accordingly. So if you're interested, please log on online, and I won't take any more time to share that with you here, through the presentation. But again, here are some of the features. Here's some great pictures. And as we look at why, obviously with everything I just shared, we know that we are the center, if not the start, if not the rebuild and the repurposing, but also a big part of workforce development. Our partnership with Tech Central has been instrumental in providing workforce development programs around facilities management, technology, industrial electrical technology, HVAC, plumbing, to provide opportunities for individuals to skill up and work towards earning a family sustaining wage, which not only improves the offering that we can engage in as a college, but also the quality of life for our neighbors, our community members, which will then improve our communities as a whole. Been working with CAP, as I mentioned earlier, to develop opportunities in developmental training for adults. Really proud to have that conversation, to provide opportunities for single families. Career Ready Lancaster, which is a consortium of businesses, education partners, workforce development, to look at how we are preparing our youth to make much more wiser and considerate career decisions moving forward. You can see some of our other partnerships here on this screen. Path to One Good Job with the United Way, working to address poverty through technical training for our non-traditional students, especially now those that have been impacted by COVID-19. There's no more important time now than to provide skill up, retraining, and training opportunities for our community members as they're really feeling the impact of COVID-19 and how it's impacted their families and their quality of life. And then again, our partnership with the city, with our county, with state leadership to address affordable housing and security. Won't get into too many specifics, but as many of you know, our students and faculty build and renovate housing. We're in conversation now with all of our partners to secure land, throughout the city and maybe even growing from there, to use our programs to build affordable housing, so that we can help folks, not only envision their first career, but help members of our community envision owning their first house. And if you've ever partnered with us, a Stevens house is a good, high quality house. And so, as we work with our leaders and our partners, we're not only, looking at, providing affordable, sometimes even first-time housing, but it's high quality, affordable first-time housing, which along with education will change the trajectory of communities and families for generations to come. And, and lastly, our commitment to be a listening and engaging community partner. So the pandemic, this has been probably the biggest question that's been asked. How has COVID-19 impacted you and and colleagues in higher ed, K-12, and the education space in general. So here's how we looked in the fall semester of 2019. As I shared earlier, we saw a dip in the number of students who registered for programs. When you look at who we were, this was our snapshot of 2019. 100% of our students were on campus. 50% of our students were Stevens grant students. We had really robust and extensive learning accommodations. We had tutoring and resources on campus and on site. Our athletics were, were running at full steam. We had a football season. We were running our campus, fitness center for everyone that engages and participates in that. We had 3 students to a room. 50% of our students were commuters, and the other half were residential. And then on March 13th of 2020, we had to make some really, difficult decisions, all of us did, across, across the U.S., across the world. And we, on March 12th, faculty and students were informed that we were going to shut down campus, effective the end of the day on March 13th. On Friday, March 13th, we started with no classes. The staff and faculty focused on IT, putting academic supports in place, counseling and disability services. Really had to start to be nimble and think outside the box around what the needs of our students were. Our Res Life students met with housing insecure students, to realize that, all right, we had COVID conditions. And, one of the things I learned as in my position as secretary and now transitioning even to this college position, you think about modalities of instruction and education, but the single number one issue we had to address on day one of shutting down educational institutions was food security. The number one question that came up was how are we going to, feed students who received meals at school, whether it was K-12, higher ed, early childhood. And so, Stevens, much like most schools and institutions across the Commonwealth, had to address that first big issue of addressing food security. Secondly, addressing housing security and security. There are students that live on campus that didn't have a place to go. And so, one of the areas that we had to focus on, and we continue to have to focus on is through this, through COVID, providing students a safe and healthy environment to eat, to engage, to learn, and to live. And, we, much like many of our other colleagues, got to work and didn't think about the cost or the impact, just thought about the quality of life and the safety and the needs of our students. And we're very nimble in partnering to make that happen. And then on Monday, March 16th, full remote learning began. And for an institution like Stevens, which you saw earlier, this was an absolutely new and an unproven endeavor. We had to pull together a health and safety team, which you can, I'll fly through these slides, but, also had to create a hybrid model of operation. I'm going to pause here because I really have to highlight the amazing work of faculty and staff. We weren't a system equipped to offer robust hybrid or online learning, modality. And yet instructors figured it out. They found ways to come up with a system to bring students on campus as needed to engage in hands-on. But more importantly, they found ways to provide online hybrid instruction the best they could. In the beginning, it was pulled together with a myriad of resources, but then they just continued to hone in and develop the skills and develop resources, and ultimately, made learning happen for our students that were on site and those that wanted to come onto Stevens campus. Now, this also provided, some opportunity, and as you see, became a much more cohesive unit, created great opportunities in partnership with staff and faculty, all around the guides and focusing on our students and the value proposition to our communities. But knowing what our mission, what our core, our core values were, which is why I took a moment, on those first couple of slides, we exist to serve students that, historically come from underserved, underrepresented communities, our first generation college students. We exist, to focus on equity and opportunity and instruction for some of our most vulnerable students. And so, as faculty had to focus on education for remote learning, we still had to find ways to engage our retention team. There are our students that had never engaged in this higher ed space, let alone engaged in this new modality of online instruction. There were students who were in households that just weren't equipped for this type and this level of instruction. And you think about, so when you just think about access to technology, when you ask someone, do you have access to technology? Overwhelmingly, there might be 100%, folks says, yes, we have access. But then as you start to drill down, so what does your access look like? Do you have access to a computer? That number is going to significantly, reduce. If you have access to reliable Wi-Fi, that number is going to drop. Do you have access to your own technology? That number, in many of our cases, especially with some of our most vulnerable, is going to be practically then, once you've answered all of those questions, that answer is going to be going to end up being no. And so we had to focus on who our student population was and how to be nimble and robust in our delivery to focus on their needs. And that's not even getting into the mental health and the emotional challenges students and community members faced. Anxiety, decreased motivation, financial stress, concerns about their own health and risk of population. And then again, as I shared, their technology challenges. You can't engage in a strong instructional program if your only means of technology is your smartphone. Smartphones are great, but you're not going to do, computer science, electrical, mechanical, or even, some of the modalities of welding online with that level of technology. However, all of those challenges, there were some opportunities, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, some of those. It allowed us to create a cohesive unit and to work together with a focus on the needs of students, with building, 21st century work skills, and thinking outside the box. But also, online instruction provided us this opportunity to look at a new modality of instruction to be more nimble around our student population and how we provide learning in many areas. We submitted an application to the Middle States Accreditation to offer online courses moving forward. So we're not going to ever move solely online because we value the courses that we offer. But knowing, when I shared with you earlier what our mission is and what our value proposition is, online instruction may be a great opportunity moving forward for working adults, for adults who don't have the ability to go to school online, to look at our ramp up programs and our certificate programs, our skill programs, to offer a new type of learning and instruction for students, or even our credit articulation agreements with other institutions of higher ed or high school. So what would online instruction look like moving forward? And if not for this adversity, we may have never thrust ourselves, headfirst into this space. And so, I think when we come out of the other end of COVID-19, definitely a lot of difficult memories and challenges, but there are going to be some opportunities coming out of that. And we are now taking full advantage, of this environment to rethink some of what we offer, how we offer it, and how we can even be better, stewards of this mission to reach out and engage with even more students and change more lives. So, I kind of went through this little by little, but, one of the big questions that I know is going to come up and has come up a number of times. So what were the challenges? COVID-19 is, and will continue to be a challenging environment. Higher education is not, an inexpensive investment. It's not, an area that, doesn't come without cost. But the truth is, we know that if we don't invest in higher ed, the next generation workforce is going to suffer. innovation in the Commonwealth and across the U.S. It will extremely, will suffer. And, at the same time, we know that as we rebuild this system, the return on investment is going to look differently. If we don't have a college ready, highly skilled, highly educated populace coming, entering the workforce in the next few years, we're going to continue to see a significant skills gap, and our communities in the Commonwealth is going to suffer as a result. All right, Jonathan, tried to rush through those last through, but again, thanks for the invitation. I can go on and on and on and on, but it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
You got it. Well, thanks so much, Pedro, and I'll give you some time to catch your breath. Folks, you are more than welcome to submit questions in the question and answer function at the bottom of your screen. Please do so. While you're doing that, I will ask a couple of my own questions to Pedro here. It seems as though there's a tremendous demand for the education that Thaddeus Stevens provides. And with your increase in housing opportunities and the increase in programs that you're offering, what does your growth potential look like going forward? 10 years, are you looking to double your population, or what? How does that look?
Mm-hmm. So our first most immediate growth opportunity is with the transportation center. So we're going to grow a few hundred students, both by creating the new diesel program, but also expanding our auto tech and our collision program. We're also looking at, with the purchase of the Alms House, increasing student housing so that we can provide more student housing opportunities through dorms here. And for me, it's across the street, so we can have more students on campus, which provides them more opportunities to work through labs and engage in that space. The truth is the practical growth opportunity is pretty much, it's financial, right? We as we build new programs, we have to have the finances to invest in that, in those new programs. But the ability to grow, even if we pulled students off of our waiting list, we can grow 3 to 4 times tomorrow, just by opening up. And that's with minimal to low recruitment, to be honest with you. That's just the immediate interest. Once we start expanding to more robustly to Pittsburgh or the Philadelphia regions, for example, we can probably grow tenfold as quickly as we like.
Wow, that's fantastic. One of our board members, Susan Eckert, submitted a question, and she said, what are the 3 things you would most like to see accomplished in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So the 3 biggest things we are looking and hoping to accomplish, we're planning to accomplish over the next 3 years. As you saw, first slide, our value proposition, our mission, is to serve historically underserved and underrepresented communities. So we have a very strategic focus, on diversifying our student pipeline, diversifying student population, not only in terms of ethnicity, race and ethnicity, but also gender. Looking to attract more women into historically male-dominated industries, because we know that that's what industry is asking us, and it's also aligned specifically to our value proposition. Secondly, updating and investing robustly in our current curriculum to align to next generation industry standards. So for example, computer science, engineering, so software engineering. We're investing significantly in that area, not only to provide more course offerings, but to align it to the workforce, and not only specific around software engineering, but how software technologies impact all of the other areas of engineering and technology as well. The last, probably biggest area we're working on now to accomplish in the next few years, because I think it better demonstrates our value proposition, are our partnerships with K-12 for credit articulation and early college opportunities, because not only for Stevens, but I think for every high school student, as we look at dual enrollment and dual credit opportunities, it decreases college debt and college cost for those students, especially for underserved, underrepresented students. And so if we can graduate Stevens students with low debt, or any student for that matter, with low debt, then we're contributing to the Commonwealth. And even in terms of our value proposition with our four-year partners. So we have credit articulation agreements with community colleges and four-year institutions. If you can start your 2 years here at Stevens and get a job, have a really high paying job, or if you go to Millersville as a junior, we know that, there's space in those junior and senior slots at Millersville. And if you can go to Millersville with no debt and then, complete your last 2 years there for a four-year degree, that's a value add for the student, for the family, for Stevens, and for a four-year institution. And so we're working with our partners to engage in that space as well.
And you talked a lot today about the value proposition that you provide to students, and so looking at having such low debt load afterwards, the traditional way of high schools, especially around here, kids that are successful and do well in school, is to go to school, get $100,000 of debt, be there for 4 years. What is the paradigm that needs to shift in kind of encouraging kids to consider a school like Stevens that traditionally might not?
So the first big paradigm shift, and every time I hear it, I have I bite my tongue and I hear my arms stand. But Stevens is a great alternative to college. And I say, stop. Stevens is a college. Right. And I think as you're looking at this career and technical education space, an alternative to is such a misnomer. This is a pathway to. So when you think about, the types of programs that we offer and many of my colleagues offer, at the same time, this is both an on and an off ramp. This is, a college like Stevens, and Stevens as a college is a path to, to earning a family sustaining wage, to improving your quality of life, to learning how to learn in this space so that you can either be successful, as you saw by my stats, you can come with us for a year and be really successful. You can come with us for 2 years and, and graduate with a degree and go into the workforce and be extremely successful. Or you can come with us for 2 years and complete another degree and be, very successful. We, when you think about it, and as I shared the number before, we talk about debt, and I'll pause. But I looked at within 1 year, our graduates purchasing their first car, and within 5 years, the number of graduates purchasing their first home. I graduated with a degree in education. I was a teacher, and I remember trying to buy my first car, going to a car lot and saying, I can't afford a new car, with my student loan debt and the career, that I was in. So that had to wait 10 years before I invested, and let alone purchasing my first home, outright. And so, to hear that, a student after 1 year can do that is pretty impressive.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks, Pedro. And I think I speak for all of us here at Hourglass that we're so thrilled to have you at Thaddeus Stevens and in the Lancaster community, and just so appreciative of you taking time today.
Thank you for having me, and so happy to be home. So thank you.
Excellent. So that concludes our presentation with Pedro today. We are looking forward to next First Friday Forum. We have SACA, Jose Lopez, the president of SACA, will be joining us to talk about SACA and the other related organizations that are associated with SACA. So we hope you can join us. It will be April 9th, not the first Friday. I think the first Friday is Good Friday. So we'll skip to the following week. So we really hope you can join us. Thanks so much for being with us today. And thanks again for being with us today, Pedro.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone.